ahead of the DOH workshop that's coming up very quickly here in early June. One of the themes of the workshop is to build upon some of the things that we started at the National Pseudo meeting last September. We have a couple of interesting projects that we'd like to get the DOHs involved with, and we'll be going over those at the workshop. As a part of that, we'd like to leverage some of the tools in the NOAA's virtual lab. We briefed a little bit about this at the National Pseudo meeting last year, but it's been a while, and we thought it would be helpful ahead of the meeting to kind of give everybody a primer or a refresher on VLab. So what we've done is we've invited Ken Sperow from the VLab team here in MDL. He's going to give a briefing training session on the virtual lab. I have a few comments I'm then going to give on the Pseudo projects dashboard that we've developed, and then we're going to open it up for some Q&A. So I'd like to welcome you all. I'd ask that you make sure your phones are on mute. We are recording this because there's several folks that weren't able to make it. And so with that, I'm going to turn things over to Ken Sperow. Ken, take it away.
Okay, great. Well, welcome everyone. So if VLab is completely new to you, this will give you a good overview. If you've seen it before, it'll be a good refresher. So let me start off by saying that there are two sides to the virtual lab. There is the collaboration services, which we'll focus on first. That's focused around communities. And then there's also development services, which are centered around projects. And I'll outline the major differences between that and why you would use one side versus the other. But one thing to note is that both sides require authentication. So we're using NOAA's LDAP credentials. So when you go to vlab.ncep.noaa.gov or vlab.ncep.noaa.gov/redmine, the project side, it does require that you enter in your NOAA credentials minus the @noaa.gov. So it's going to be the same credentials you use to get to your NOAA Gmail account. We are working on, actively working on single sign-on. How that will manifest itself is that if you're already logged into your NOAA Gmail account, you'll be able to click on a button and automatically log right in to VLab and on both sides. So that'll make it a simpler interaction for the users. So when you first log in to the collaboration services side, you land on this page here. You'll see that you have a listing of the communities that you belong to. A community is it's basically a website that contains users and then tools such as wikis, forums, web content management, message boards. So there's a lot of different tools at your disposal, and they are all focused on communications. So that's why we call it collaboration services. And so the focus there is getting messaging out or communicating with a group of people, and whether that's other DOHs, if it's a wider audience, anyone with NOAA credentials can log into VLab, and in fact, core partners can log into VLab too, but they do need to be sponsored. So let's take a quick look at a couple different communities within the VLab to give you a sense for what's there and what's possible. So like I said, when you first come here, you're going to get a listing of the communities that you're a member of. When you first log in and you come here for the first time, you're just going to be a member of the virtual lab. And so you'll want to click on this All Available Communities. That's then going to show you the listing of all 126 communities that are available. And communities can be open, meaning that you can just click on the join and you're automatically a member of it. And communities can also be restricted, meaning that you have to request membership, and then the community owner is like the gatekeeper for the community. There are also restricted or private communities, and those are ones that won't appear on this list, and they're used on occasion for things like administrative groups and things like that. And in those cases, you would be added directly by the community owner. So you can just join a community. When you join it, then it's going to appear on this list here. If you click on this, it's going to open up a new tab, take you to that community. If you would prefer not to have a bunch of tabs, you can come up over here under My Communities and then scroll down to any community that you want to then go into. You might ask what these little symbols are here. It represents, so communities can actually have private pages and public pages. And so it's up to the community owners in terms of how they set up permissions on the public pages, but public pages can truly be public, meaning that people don't have to authenticate to get to them and to the content that's shown on those pages, or it could be that you restrict it to anyone that's just logged in to VLab. So, but they don't necessarily need to be a member of the community to see the public pages. The private pages, like here in this Iris group, those are pages that are only accessible to the community itself. And if a community shows up here and it doesn't have any symbol next to it, that means it just has private pages. So that sometimes is a question that comes up. So I prefer this My Communities drop-down. I don't like to have a lot of tabs. Now for the demo, I have a lot of tabs. So, but I'm going to show you first the MRMS community. And again, if I wanted to get to it directly, if you're a member of it, you just scroll down to MRMS and go to that community. And so I can do that now, and it would take you right there. So MRMS is a good example of they're doing a lot within their community. And communities, the layouts and the pages that show up here are at the discretion of the community owners. So they have a lot of say in terms of they have complete control over what is laid out and how they put things within there and how they go about using the tools that are in collaboration services. So let's just take a look. On this, the community owner here chose to put pretty much everything on this front page and then also break it out by functionality as well. So I like to look at a slightly simpler view. So I'm going to go through one by one and show you very quickly what's here. So what they've got is they have message boards. So this is communication that's between users and for discussions, like email type discussions, but it has the advantage that you can go in, attach images, it's all searchable. So within the search here, within the forum, or globally within Virtual Lab, if you remember, it's going to show up there. And then you can go in and take a look at those messages. Sometimes they're going to have images, and those can be useful. It does generate emails. So, and if you're subscribed, that's one of the advantages of this approach, is that people can come in here and they can subscribe to the categories that they're interested in. So they just have to click on here, click on subscribe if they were interested in multi-radar, multi-sensor, aviation-specific information. And then anytime anyone posts something within that particular category, you would get an email regarding that. And then the other advantage is that you can respond to that email directly from your email client, and it would post here as well. So you don't have to necessarily log into VLab to see the content or to contribute. So that's the forums. Blogs are more of a means of communicating from the users out to experts within your community, out to the users as a whole. It's not two-way communication, it's one-way. And here it gives a tool. All of these tools are online. So what I mean by that is what you see is what you get editors. They're very easy to go in and add a new blog entry. And you just basically say, okay, I want it to display here at this point in time, and you start writing your blog and format it just like you'd like to. Again, blogs enable people to subscribe to those, and then you can get those notifications via email when there's a new blog. The wiki is just like Wikipedia or something else, where it allows for contribution within the community, within documents. And there's a very robust permissions framework and groups and permissions framework. So if you wanted anyone within your community to be able to contribute to pages, you could do that. Or if you wanted to restrict it to certain teams within your community, that can be done as well. So, and again, you can subscribe to wiki pages, and you'd get redline strikeout mode anytime that the pages get updated with a major update. So that's, and then you can have, child pages and have a whole hierarchy within the wiki. There's a document library as well. So the document library is a way of organizing documents within your community. Documents that are uploaded then don't count against your Gmail, or your Google Drive. So it would just be uploaded here. Files such as PDFs are scanned and you get previews without having to download those. So if I click on this particular document, you can see the preview. If I want to come in, I can click on this, take a look at it and say, oh, is that something I really want or I'm interested in? And if so, then you could download it. It allows for rating of the documents. It also allows for comments. So you can see there was a comment there by Greg Stumpf. And versioning too. So if you've got multiple versions, it would show up here in this list. So that's true of the wikis, of course, as well as if there's versioning. So those are the main tools that are there, and then you can create other pages too. So you saw there that what they did is they actually had another page directly on the collaboration services that took you to the project, the associated project on Redvine. And so I clicked on that and it took you over there. You can also do inline frames. So there are lots, these pages are all drag and drop. The content itself is all drag and drop too. So if you want, these are called portlets. So anyway, that gives you a sense. This is a very mature community, and so that gives you a sense for that. There actually is a community that's related to the DOHs, and so that's, it isn't mature, it's just in its infancy. It looks like the owners have gone in and done some things where they haven't got it really going yet. So, so there's a national water model community, and again, you can go back to, if you ever want to get back to the main community, just click on this, the NOAA icon over here on the left of the virtual lab that takes you right back. And so you can come in here and join, if you type in water, it should hit it, and so the national water model. So you can see there are 10 members of this right now.
Hey Ken, do you have time for a question?
Oh, definitely.
A couple questions. First off, Mike DeWeese, earlier you were talking about requesting membership from a restricted community, and he wanted to know, why does it require a comment to join the community?
It's a general thing. You don't necessarily need to put any. I don't think it requires anything. So it's in case you, let's say the community is something that has some sensitive nature to it, you might want to give some context saying, look, I'm an expert in such and such. In general, we try to promote use of open communities, and but if there really is a need to not have just anyone join the community, remember, only users that have no credentials can get into VLab, with the exception of there are some sponsored external partners. Those fall into the category of through the universities, other government agencies such as NASA, some of the I know there's some people from the Navy in there. So that's the criteria thus far that's been used in terms of getting external partners in there. So
he did follow up by saying, I think it did, but he did say that he tried to join the MRMS community and it wouldn't let him unless he added a comment, which I guess is his justification for why he thinks he should join the restricted community.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So I mean, you could just say something like, "I'm interested in this topic," and that's all that it probably would take. I don't know that I don't know why, for example, MRMS chose to be restricted. It may be I can follow up with the community owner there.
Okay.
And there was another
Also,
question then?
Yeah, there was. I unmuted Scott Lindsay. He had a question, which I'll let him hopefully give to you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Scott. All right. Did you unmute yourself, Scott? Oh. Well, let me, okay, let's see. So he did ask it also in the chat window. Maybe he's got problems with his mic. And that is, can you give some examples of communities that are good examples for us to look at? And he did say that MRS seems like a good one, but I'm thinking he wants to see if there are others.
Yeah, so let me think off the top of my head. So a lot of work has gone into the Central Region Sioux community. They have a lot of integration with Google Drive, so I'll show you that really quickly. So there's a lot there. They've actually made changes in terms of the look and feel to a certain extent. So that's something that I'd recommend taking a look at that. There's a lot in here if you would start going through it. You know, they've tied in with Google calendars and anyway, so there's a lot of content there. That's one example. Another one that was just created was the NSSL community, and that's brand new. Again, they took a different take in terms of the look and feel of it, and so you can see there's not a whole lot in this community yet. They just created it, and it's going up for review to the director of NSSL, but you can take a look at that as well, see kind of some of the things that they've done within this. The reason I raise this is it just shows that you can really change the way the community looks. And I think Iris is another one. That's a field initiative, so you might want to take a look there and see what they've done. And I can come up with another list if there are others that it looks like actually there's not a whole lot within the Iris community, so that may not be the best one. Oh, the other side that I think is interesting is the OCLO Office of, I forget what C stands for, Learning Office. And the Warning Decision Training Division is part of that too. So there's a community, and I don't recall if it's open or not, but the Warning Decision Training Division. So this community is unique in that they've actually been developing some guides within it, and I think that these are, so let me go. So here, this was all developed in-house, and so basically I think it demonstrates what you can do in terms of having interactivity. They came to us and said, oh, well, we want you guys to host PHP within your site, and I'm not picking good ones because they don't have any images, but so let me see if I can find a better one. But you can see these two things are tying together, and this is all being driven based from our web content management system, and so they've got a means. They use a capability called staging. Normal users wouldn't see this. I'm in admin, so you're seeing this, but they can basically get lots of stuff staged for publication, and then once everything is working well within the staging environment, push it out to production. So anyway, that gives you some other examples of communities that I think are good examples of things being done. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so why don't we go ahead and shift gears real quick, and I want to focus on development services now. And so, remember, collaboration services focus on the collaboration component, getting the messaging out, talking with your audience perhaps, or talking amongst yourselves too. It's a great means of communication. The development service is focused on the projects. And so there are a lot of development service projects within VLab. This is a new portlet that we've just rolled out. It's in production, but we haven't made it visible yet. We wanted to make sure that there weren't any kinks before we made it available to everyone. But basically, this shows all of the different projects that are development service projects that are within VLab, where the owner has said, yeah, it's okay to see it. And so it basically shows a hierarchical view. There's a lot in here regarding AWIPs. So all of these are AWIPs type communities, projects. And then there's ensemble, post-processing. There are some projects in here with regard to water, and so you can search everything here. So if I do this, you can then see that there are several here. There's one under CHIPS, there's another National Water Center, and then we have several different projects that fall under that as well. And I'm going to be demonstrating those. So this is actually kind of a nice way of being able to peruse the different projects that are within VLab, and it'll be made available probably within the next week or so. I need to send one confirmation to project owners to make sure that if their project is being listed, they're okay with that. So, okay, so let's take a look at the projects. So this is the one National Water Model project that is underway right now, where I see some activity taking place. And so projects, what they are is they're centered around work that's being done. And so to support that, what we provide within VLab are these tools, and Redmine is the issue management software. So it's for project management. It allows for creation of issues, and then those issues have a life cycle associated with them. So it could be bugs, it could be enhancements, it could be requirements. There are lots of different ways to use this, and in fact I'll show you several different ways that this is being used within the field. And then it also, a project can also have a code repository associated with it, and we support both Subversion and Git. And so that's a way for people to use, the team to use revision control in a coordinated fashion, so that a team can share code and basically have standards in terms of the way that code is managed. So let's just take a look really quick here. So the projects themselves are, you can see here, this is VLC is visible as yes, so that means it would show up in that portlet I just showed you. And then the projects are private by default. And so what I mean by that is that projects, by default, they're going to be private unless someone goes in, the project owner goes in and changes it to public. Now this one actually is public, so that means that anyone logged in to vlab.ncip.noaa.gov/redmine, they're going to have access to this project, and they would see that access. You're going to see it by clicking on the projects link at the very up top of the screen. So that would show up, this project would show up there. Projects where you're actually a member of the project, so for example, I'm flagged as being a member of this project here, so it actually shows up in this list here of projects, much like the My Communities list. So, so let's just walk through what you've got here. You have a chance to provide an overview of the project. You can click on the activity and see what's been going on. So all of these are revision updates. So when I look at this, they're not using the issue tracking component of VLab as of yet, but they are using the repository. And so anytime someone commits something, you see that here. So it looks like Taylor's been the most active person within this project. And so you can come into here and click on the particular commit and see exactly what's been going on. And so you can see he's, with that last commit, he made a lot of different changes to these map files. And so, you know, you can click on individual files to get a sense of what's actually changed. So that one I didn't see much in the way. So anyway, that gives you a tool for being able to see that. So I don't know if they created any wiki. Yeah, so they give you some information here, and then normally the way that someone works on a repository is that you would do a local checkout. I believe that, if I remember correctly, let me see if I got this right or not. So they're actually using Git for this repository. And so you would clone the repository to your local machine, make your changes, commits, and then push those changes back to VLab. And we have a lot of good guidance in terms of how to go about doing that within this section here. So this is Git, so repository, Git help, and Git repositories. So those are the two areas that I would recommend if you're new to Git and you don't quite know what to do or how to get started. You can take a look at this and that'll help you. Okay, so that's one project. Let me show you a couple other projects that are very active and using other components. And so this is an example of, we have a handful now, actually about half a dozen or so, WFOs that are using VLab and specifically using the issue tracking side of it, not necessarily the revision control, but the issue tracking to manage their office. And so the Sterling office actually has gone beyond many others, and that they've broken up, and this demonstrates that you can actually have sub-projects. So they have a sub-project for their ITOs, for the SUs, for the WCMs, and then they've got something called Xclosed. So within each of these, you can click on here, and again, you can see the activity. You can also see the listing of the issues. If you need to write a new issue, you can click on New Issue. And then these are the different types of issues that can be written that they've selected. There's a Gantt chart, so if you're familiar with Microsoft Project or Gantt charts in general, it supports that. So it basically looks at the issues, start dates, end dates, and it also allows for relationships. And I'll show you a different project where they're really using that a lot. So you can say that one issue depends upon another, it must follow it, or it's blocking another. You can just give general relationships. And then that's then depicted within the Gantt chart, which is a nice way of doing things. So that's that. And so you can see here, you have a breakdown then in terms of, okay, these are the issues within the ITO sub-project. And then they've even broken it down further by AWIPS operations versus GFE versus GIS. And then on the SUs, you can see they've broken it down into marine areas. So there's a lot of flexibility in terms of how you organize things, or you could just keep it one project and keep it simple, but that's possible. The calendar is just a way of showing the issues in terms of, okay, this shows, okay, they should be starting on the GFE operations, that support task. And then there's the ability to create news events within your project. You can also upload documents. There is a wiki too. So if you have, similar to the collaboration services side, if you have documentation that you want to provide to your project, you can do that through a wiki. And then there's the ability to upload files too. So both on the community side and the project side, we hand over the keys to the project or community's owner, and so it's up to them to use these tools as they see fit. But we, the VLab.admin at NOAA.gov, are here as a resource if there are questions or if you need guidance or if our online help and things isn't providing what you need. We're there, 5 days a week or during normal business hours, and you can send an email to that VLab.admin at NOAA.gov, and we respond within an hour. So that is our goal. So that's this issue, and let me just show you very quickly how this is an example of a project where they have used those relationships. And so you can see this particular task here, 2604, follows task 2603. And if I were to go into 2604, you can see that here are those relationships. If I wanted to add another relationship, I can do so, put it in here. And so you can have that something duplicates, it blocks, it proceeds or follows, or it can even copy it from another task. So anyway, that's that. And anyone that's used Track or Mantis or Jira, you're going to be familiar with this interface and what we're able to do here. So let's see where I am. I think okay. So that's a highlight of collaboration services and development services. Some things that have changed since the Sudo meeting back in the fall. We're just rolling out an update that will allow you to create issues through email. So you'll be able to, if you have a project or you're a member of a project and you don't want to have to log in and create an issue, you can do that through email. That'll be supported. The other thing, which I think is even more advantageous or will be used more often, is that you can respond to email notifications sent by the system and have it update the tickets directly. So that'll be kind of nice. I demonstrated that projects portlet, projects portlet, so that's new. And we've done a fair amount in terms of cleanup and in terms of getting the formatting specifically for the message boards and the emails that are being sent. Those are working nicely now, whereas before there were some gotchas that were kind of annoying. So I think that's that. So I think that's the main thing. So I think I'm going to hand it off now, and David's going to talk about the Sudo dashboard. So let me hand over control to him. Dave, you're still there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, excellent. Let me do that. So
Okay.
okay, so you should have control now.
Can you see my screen, Ken?
Yes, I can.
Great. Okay, just as kind of a reminder, as a follow-up to the National Sudo meeting, one of the actions that was discussed at the tail end of the last day was that we were going to kind of put together an effort to get the SUs and DOHs more involved with national projects, working together, and we'd like to get a lot of these projects into the virtual lab. And so one thing that we did starting last fall was we put together a process to propose and vet potential projects for the SUs and DOHs, working with the SSD chiefs. Back in December, we sent out a note and we advertised 8 projects, but most of the projects were geared towards the SUs. We didn't have any real hydrology-related projects in that first set. We're currently working on another wave of projects that we're going to advertise. One of the projects is the National Water Model output assessment team that is already underway that Scott Lindsay is leading. And so in order to kind of keep track of all of these projects that are going on, we've been working with the VLab team to put together a dashboard in VLab to look at these. So if you log into the VLab communities side, up here near the top of the screen, it currently has a very front and center location. This will eventually be located under a sub-tab. The vision is that this tab will have important things for different line offices. Right now, we're the only ones that have something in here, so we've been elevated to the top line, the pseudo projects dashboard. But if you click on this, this is basically, it's a one-stop shop for all of the different pseudo projects that are going on. And so you see the projects are listed here on the left-hand side. You can actually mouse over the projects to get a description of what the project is about. In the second column, there's a place where if a project has a VLab community or if it has a development services side, a Redmine page, there are links to those here. So for example, if I click on the VLab community for the RTMA IRMA project, it will take me directly to that page. And so you can see some of the stuff that Steve Levine has uploaded here for the RTMA project. It's also a place where project leads can upload a copy of their most recent project plan, or if their project has a quad chart. This is helpful to folks, especially here at headquarters. If you want to get a quick update on where a project stands, you can download the project's quad chart. And so it downloads. I won't open this. I won't torture you guys with that, but you can see where there's a place to load those documents. The pseudo projects, the way they work is they have a sponsor, either a headquarters manager or one of the SSD chiefs or an NCEP center manager. So you can see their names here. And then the folks that are actually leading the project, their names are here. So if you're trying to figure out who's leading the model evaluation global group, for example, you can see their names. And then one neat thing that we've added, all of the folks that are involved with the project are listed here. So for example, Tom Filiaggi is leading an effort to standardize the model smart inits, the National Init Config project. You click on the members tab and you can see all the SUs and field folks that are working on that project. So the dashboard has been populated with the 8 projects we advertised last fall, which were mostly targeted at the SUs. There were also 4 projects that Ming funded last year, national projects that SUs across the country have been working on, so we added those to the dashboard as well. We'll be coming out with a call to sign up for the next wave of projects here in the coming weeks. One of those projects, which is already underway, as I said, is Scott Lindsay's National Water Model Assessment Team. Ernie Wells has also put together a proposal for a project to get some DOHs together to work on HEFS issues. And we'll be talking more about those as we get towards the workshop and at the workshop in June. And when we're all together, there may be potentially other ideas that come up or things that we want to work on that could be elevated and become national projects, and they could potentially be added to this list. Long term, we want to make this a little more interactive. There's been some interest from some of the regions of adding some of the regional projects that are going on. One of the things we'll be doing is working with the VLab team to add additional tabs to this dashboard so that, for example, say Central Region wanted to have a page where all of their Central Region SU and DOH projects were located. They could have a tab to keep track of them there. So that's kind of a brief overview of the dashboard. It's a work in progress. I just want to give a thanks to Ken Sperow and the VLab team for all their help putting this together. So with that, I think what we'll do is open it up to questions, unless Ken has any other things he wanted to say first.
No. So questions would be great, or if there's any area, we do have a little extra time, so if there's any areas that you want me to dive into further, or anyone in the audience wants to know more about, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Sure. We have a forcings project that's working towards integration with the modeling project.
It's almost like we currently have a role reversal.
Yep.
Okay, not a problem. Not a problem.
So are there any specific questions from anyone out there?
Isolated thunderstorms, near steady temperature in the upper 50s, light and variable winds, chance of rain 70%.
So I guess what we'll have to do is perhaps raise the hand feature, since we're obviously on hold on at least one side.
Right, I've opened up most everybody's mic so that they can feel free to ask questions. And if they should find they're not being heard, then I can then raise their hand and I will unmute them.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, John.
Take it away, guys.
Any feedback from anyone? Questions, comments?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The question was about from the home page on VLab. There's a NOAA projects repository tab.
Correct.
Can you explain a little bit what the intent is for that?
Yeah. So there was a. So this is higher up. It's at the NOAA level, and so we were tasked with creating this portlet that basically allows people to add projects, and it's an attempt by NOAA to track research operations and find out where things are stalling, what's succeeding, because a lot of activities are taking place within NOAA, but oftentimes it gets to that final step, but then there's no path for it to actually go into operations or commercialization. And so Steve Smith, who happens to be the director of the virtual lab and my federal supervisor, he was on this committee, and so hopefully that helps a little bit. So the idea is that as projects, and I think there's going to be some directive from the Weather Service where when projects get to a certain point, they have to be entered into the system. It's very high level in terms of what's there. So you can, if we look, I'll show you. So if we go into advanced search, you can come into here and go into the line office, and let's look at just Weather Service specific ones. There's going to be a call to action on this in the next month or so. They did testing of this system this past year, and then they've decided to do another test of it this year, and then they'll decide whether or not, I believe their plan is to make it actually official and operational. But so, like for example, here's let me see if I can find one that might be relevant interest to you all. So C-star, we can change the number of projects, and actually it's searchable too. I don't know if there's anything water specific. Let me see. Well, we can try. So if I come in here,
I've actually put one in there under the
Oh, you have? Okay.
And I don't know
Okay.
if that was appropriate or not, but apparently it doesn't sound like there's really any guidance for this yet.
Well, there will be. So
Okay.
yeah, there will be. There's actually a very, if you are curious, you can go up to the help, and then there's a user's guide with regard to this. And so this will give you a lot of context and background on it. And so I'd recommend taking a look at that. It'll do a much better job than I've done in giving you an overview of it. But I know the intricacies of the insides of it because I helped develop it, but the policy side's more Steve Smith, and actually John Chattel, who's on this call too, was close to this as well. So, but you can take a look at this, and this is soup to nuts in terms of how to use it. And but yeah, so.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so Dave, I'd recommend ending early if we don't have any other topics to discuss.
That's fine with me. I just want to thank you, Ken, for doing this with us. Hopefully folks can get in and start playing with VLab a little bit more. We've got another hour set aside on the last day of the DOH workshop. So if you have any other topics or questions about VLab you'd like answered, or things you'd like to see a demo of, let us know, and we can arrange to have that during the follow-up training session during the workshop. All right, well, thanks everyone. Have a good afternoon.
All right, thank you.